Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
All I had was just a dream.
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
All I had was just a dream.
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Wednesday, November 14th, 11 p.m. Mountain Time 2018. You've entered the effing awesome classroom.
All I had was just a dream, and dreams are all I had left.
Keep calm. It's boom time.
All I had was just a dream.
Death toll hits 56 in California's Camp Fire as officials release list of the unaccounted. That's not good news. That list is deep. Authorities searching through the blackened aftermath of California's deadliest wildfire Wednesday released the names of some 130 people who are unaccounted, bringing the potential death toll to above 180, including many in their 80s and 90s. Dozens more could still be unaccounted for unofficially. Officials in Northern California said Tuesday that search crews had found 6 more bodies, bringing the death toll from the so-called Camp Fire to 56 and statewide, including the Woolsey, to 59. As names of the missing were made public today, additional crews joined the search. We want to be able to cover as much ground as quickly as possible, said Butte County Sheriff Corey Hania. This is a very difficult task. A Sheriff's Department spokeswoman, Megan McCann, acknowledged that the list of the missing was incomplete and could grow. She said detectives are concerned about being overwhelmed with calls from relatives if the entire list were to be released. Are you picking up what we're putting down? That list will grow, as well as the deaths. A new lawsuit blames the fire on a major utility, Pacific Gas and Electric. I've been calling out these scumbags from the rip before August, and the fires even began in California for the second record year in a row. I called out Pacific Gas and Electric for being responsible for the majority of them. The rest, mostly human stupidity. And also, if you don't know about the history of California, we're about to open your eyes. This is my friend Juan Brown from the Blanco Lirio channel. Listen up.
The narratives that you're hearing in the media today are a gross oversimplification to meet a narrow political agenda.
What did you say, Juan?
Of all the issues that are affecting the wildfires, 1,000 acres. The narratives that you're hearing in the media today are a gross oversimplification to meet a narrow political agenda of all the issues that are affecting the wildfires in California and the West in general. One of the first things to understand about California is its geography, particularly here in the North State. In the North State, you have the Central Valley, surrounded by the Coast Range to the west and the Sierra Nevada Mountains to the east. And when a high-pressure weather system moves over the state of California, that Central Valley simply cooks, gets blazing hot, especially the farther north you go up towards Redding. The Central Valley, located near sea level at about 100 feet, from that elevation up to about 2,000 feet, and the foothills surrounding that valley is primarily chaparral-type country. Chaparral-type country that requires, to some degree, a certain amount of wildfire to grow. Chaparral-type country that requires, to some degree, a certain amount of wildfire to grow. So that chaparral-type country that requires, to some degree, a certain amount of wildfire to grow. So that chaparral is designed to burn. It burns every year. It needs to burn. It's part of California's natural landscape to burn that chaparral. Above about 1,500, 2,000 feet, you start to get into California's timber country, and like you see right here at the 3,200 feet elevation, the timber starts getting pretty tall pretty fast. Now a quick Now a quick overview of California history. Before 1849 or 1848, when gold was discovered, California was, to for the most part, largely unpopulated.
He just spit. It was totally
except for
disgusting.
the Native Americans and a few California ranchos, giant cattle ranches here in California. It's widely believed, and we don't know to how much extent, that the Native Americans did tend to manage the forests here in Northern California, as in the summertime they would migrate up into the high country, and then as they left, widely believed, and we don't know to how much extent, that the Native Americans did tend to manage the forests here in Northern California, to how much extent that the Native California. It's widely believed, and we don't know to how much extent, that the Native Americans did tend to manage the forests here in Northern California, as in the summertime. To how much extent that the Native Americans did tend to manage the forests here in Northern California, as in the summertime they would migrate up into the high country, and then as they left the high country in the fall would set small fires to control the brush as they depart, and then as they left the high country in the fall would set small fires to control the brush as they departed the high country and head down to lower, more hospitable
Juan, what did you
elevations in
just
the
say?
to control the brush as they departed
Did they
the high
set fires?
Northern California, as in the summertime they would migrate up into the high country, and then as they left the high country in the fall would set small fires to control the brush as they departed the high country.
I got it. I
and
get
head
it
down
now.
to lower, more
Did they go up and set
elevations
small
in the
fires
winter
every year?
country, and then as they left the high country in the fall would set small fires to control the brush as they departed the high country and head down to lower, more hospitable elevations in the wintertime, helping to thin the forest.
Oh, what were they doing?
In wintertime, helping to thin the forest.
Were they helping
to thin the forest?
What were they doing?
To thin the forest.
What?
To thin the forest.
And why is that important?
In 1849, the gold rush happened here in Northern California, and the entire world rushed in. This place was just absolutely overrun with folks.
Was that
and
a
of course,
boom
that
or what?
industry is a steam-powered industry. So immediately, the forests here in Northern California were virtually denuded of all of its timber in order to feed the gold rush.
Take a look. Take a look at how few trees are up on this hill. There's like 11 trees. That's it. 11 trees. Keep your eye on the trees. This is Nevada City, 1800. There's the other 11 trees. Whoa! Here's Nevada City today. What do you think the next city's going to burn?
Timber is needed for buildings, mines, structures, trestles, and railroads. By the time the Transcontinental Railroad got in here, a steam-powered locomotive on the Transcontinental Railroad would take over 25 cords of wood just to move maybe 50 or 60 miles up the Sierra Nevada mountains. So wood was desperately needed and taken from all the forests to feed the gold rush. As a result, there's only very few portions of old-growth timber in the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. Since the gold rush, the timber here in California has been a renewable resource, continuously being harvested until recently. When the Transcontinental Railroad agreement was made to come through California, the big part of that agreement was every other section of land was to be given to the railroad companies in exchange for developing and building the Transcontinental Railroad.
Did you hear that?
That's why you look at a Tahoe National Forest map or any national forest map up here in Northern California, you see a checkerboard pattern of green and white lands. Forest Service and National Forest map or any national forest map up here in Northern California, you see a checkerboard pattern of green. Up here in Northern California, you see a checkerboard pattern of green and white lands. Map or any national forest map up here in Northern California, you see a checkerboard pattern of green and white lands, Forest Service and private lands moving through the forest. Over the years, as the railroads divested their interests outside of railroading, including these lands, those lands became available to timber harvesters and became private timber lands. Over the years, these timber harvesters operated successfully here in California until excessive environmental regulations, starting with the giant spotted owl controversy, operated successfully here in California until excessive environmental regulations, starting with the giant spotted owl controversy back in the 80s. regulations of starting with this giant spotted owl controversy back in the 80s, as I recall, began to put the crimp on logging in California.
Those are the facts. You could put it in your pipe and smoke the cracks. But those are the facts. This has nothing to do with climate change. It has nothing to do with global warming. It has nothing to do with carbon tax. It has everything to do with poor forest management, the privatization of millions of acres of national forest, and then the insane and cockamamie regulations that are popping up in California, the global warming hub of the world, climate change central, protecting the spotted owls at the cost of hundreds of human lives and tens of thousands of human homes who are now homeless, and all for the spotted owl, who depend on the burnt forests to survive and thrive. Protecting the forest does not save the spotted owl. When you change the ecosystem so it does not mimic the original, you kill the ecosystem. This is how insane the environmental movement has become. 10 minutes in, we're not even getting to the good stuff. Let's do it. You've entered the effing awesome classroom for a reason, and we told you to keep calm. But I'm not very calm because I'm sick of it. First chance of snow for the DC area enters deep. Deep snow, and we're going to get to it. Winter Storm Avery, the first winter storm named 5 weeks before winter. They call it an early season winter storm. Yeah, because it's in the middle of fall. Snow and freezing rain to impact the East, Ohio, and Mississippi valleys. An early season winter storm in the middle of fall is expected to bring freezing rain and snow to the lower middle Mississippi Valley, eastward to the southern Appalachians, and areas that don't even see snow in the winter. And then northward to the northeast, well, they'll be experiencing their first nor'easter 5 weeks out from winter. The Weather Channel named this storm Avery because they wanted to make it sound so nice, like your neighbor's new child. It's the first named winter storm of the fall season 2018-19. Meanwhile, elevated to critical fire weather threats persist through Southern California through Thursday before hopefully subsiding on Friday. A complex early winter storm is expected to produce heavy snow from the mid-Mississippi Valley to western Ohio Valley and interior Northeast over the next couple of days. Potentially significant and record-breaking icing possible in the south-central Appalachians. Heavy rain from the southeast to mid-Atlantic coast. As this deep upper-level low moves northwestward, people will be sharding their pants. That's a wet fart. A surface low is expected to develop in the Tennessee Valley with another surface low pressure system strengthening and moving along the eastern seaboard. This is called a nor'easter, but they will not make it the headline because they don't want you to shart your pants. First chance of snow for the D.C. area. Sharding many pants is in this area by Christopher M., Chief Forecaster, Washington, D.C. You know him. Back in the day as Ice Age 2050. First Weather Watch. That's him. We love you, Chris Martz. Man, this kid kicks ass and takes names. Our first chance of some wintry weather and even accumulating snow is increasingly lightly as new data comes in. The second storm system of the week is making its way up the East Coast. It's the toast of the town. But it's not going to be a clown. It will cause major travel disruptions for morning commuters, especially in the north and western suburbs of D.C. For now, a couple of rain showers will linger, but then the snow showers, they will tingle. And they will mingle down into this region where record snow is predicted to accumulate in the southern Appalachians. We're going to get to the GFS models in just a second. That's why we're at the white screen. Keep calm, it's boom time. You've entered the effing awesome classroom. And that's a boom. Check out the Weather Ready Nation map. You should be sharding your pants. These are freeze warnings, yes, for 247 counties in the southern U.S. 247 counties under hard freeze warnings all the way down to New Orleans. And yes, it is November 14th. Santa is nowhere in the picture. The green areas are for extreme flooding and flash flooding. We've seen this before, South Carolina. Heads up, Georgia. You're primed. Winter storm warnings in pink and winter storm watches in purple. That is thousands of United States counties under winter weather advisories and watches in the middle of November. 15 states in the East Coast. And elevated to locally critical fire weather threats persist for Southern California. Those are the gray zones where you probably can't breathe. Hopefully subsiding Friday. An early winter storm is producing heavy snow from the mid-Mississippi Valley through the Ohio Valley and interior. Potentially significant icing in the south central Appalachians and heavy rain from the southeast to the mid-Atlantic coast in the next few days. We're going to see tens of thousands of accidents, pipes bursting, and people totally pissed at Al Gore. That in whore. Need I say more? Let's take a tour. Snowvember to remember, the earliest Houston snowfall ever in history just happened yesterday. It's not a mystery, it's history, and it's done. And it's fun, because they predicted 4 years ago that we'd never see snow, and holy ho ho ho, that looks like some snow. I don't even know which way to go. But that's tonight's first boom. Travolta's clueless as well. What the hell? Heads up. Who's got the van? Jiffy does. Bring it in. John? I don't know where the van went. Maybe it's over here. Now, the GFS model that we just pulled up is the one that just started at the beginning of the update. It has now brought us to 222 hours into the future. This is the most recent update. You're not going to get this anywhere on the internet, unless, especially if you're watching it live, because this is live. And the snowfall totals in the southern Appalachians have increased dramatically by over 33% since 6 hours ago, showing 17 inches at Snowshoe, 12 inches in the mid-Poconos, and heavy snow blanketing the entire Northeast. 2 to 4 inches for the entire Northeast through Saturday morning. That's not that boring. The Canadian Shield will be buried by the 25th of November, and as predicted, there will be moisture coming into the Sierras, beginning the ski season there by the end of November. We're 5 weeks out from Christmas. I love that van. Whoa! Say it ain't so. Heads up. I don't know what's going on. I just report on the facts. And the facts are heavy snow above 30 degrees latitude for the entire northern hemisphere. Those are the facts. Yo, that's Google. I don't know what's happening. Bear with me. Let's get through it together. So much going on. An Italian volcano's massive eruption fits a pattern, and the cycle may have restarted. New research indicates that a volcano near Naples, Italy, might be in the early stages of opening random windows. Gearing up for an eruption large enough could change the area's landscape. Yeah, the study published today in Science Advances may be of particular interest to the 1.5 million people living within the bounds of the volcanic complex. Fortunately for them, there is no indication this massive event will happen anytime soon. However, volcanic eruptions like this can take thousands of years to develop, but a new study, researchers found molten magma under the Campe Flegrei volcano. We've talked about this in episodes past, and we'll be talking about this more in the future if something develops. So, little tidbit to get us on with the update. I might have to click some of these. In fact, I do. John, can you help us out? See, he's confused because Al Gore said it would never snow again. Okay, bear with me. Let's get at something. A massive impact crater has been detected beneath Greenland's ice sheet. Many of you sending me this article. The location of a 19-mile wide, 31-kilometer crater impact over northwest Greenland. There it is. Kind of like Campi Falegré. An unusually large asteroid crater measuring 19 miles wide has been discovered under the continental ice sheet in Greenland, roughly the size of Paris. Whew. It's now among the 25 biggest asteroid craters on Earth, and probably not an asteroid crater at all, but in fact a plasma discharge feature due to something ionizing directly above the surface. Frozen super-Earth spotted around the second nearest star system. It's called Barnab Star B. Why did they call it Barnaby's star? And while it might not be too hospitable, it's further proof that planets are plentiful. Of course we knew this. We're not even from this planet. And that's a picture of Greenland, just like they show us that, and they tell us it's Mars. Oh my God, my eyes need scars. Bear with me, long-term weather forecast. Record cold temperatures on the way as solar minimum begins. Earth's atmosphere is set to become extremely cold in the coming months as the solar minimum descends. It's as if they've never heard about the sun being used to predict climate, and now they're using it. It's totally insane. We've known about this for decades, and now they're talking about actual science in the face of being complete idiots if they're talking about global warming. This is almost embarrassing. I want to erase it. Pacific Gas and Electric stock price tumbles ahead of the lawsuit for these California victims. Well, thank God, because they're responsible. These utilities don't care about your well-being. They care about you paying your bill, and they'll shut you off in the middle of winter and let you freeze to death if you can't pay. Hey! Sue the shit out of these scumbags. I can't wait until that solar flare comes our way. It will not be their day. Scientists behind ocean warming studies say errors were made. I wonder if that's because you got all that funding for global warming bullshit and you lied. Well, now you can't hide. Scientists behind a study that found the world's oceans were warming faster than ever said that they made errors, which means they're full of shit. Yeah, that's why it's snowing. And that's why we're all smoking bongs, because we need to deal with this situation that has gone way out of control. That's why you're here, learning. And that's why these scientists should be burning. These issues do not invalidate the study's methodology or the new insight into the fact that biogeochemistry in which it was based, except that we lied and there's no excessive heat anywhere. And we're full of shit. Seismic update, where we're not full of shit. Kamchatka is rocking, definitely volcanic in origin. 6.0. 76 kilometers south-southwest of Kamchatka, Stary Russia. And the mid-ocean ridges are spreading, and we're going to get to that. 5.2 in Svalbard, mid-ocean ridge spreading. 5.0 in South Sandwich, where another mid-ocean ridge is spreading. And all the mid-ocean ridges have been spreading. Remember all the reports in the East Rift Zone here that we're reporting on 6 months ago? The thousands of earthquakes in Mayotte? It's because the rift zone is spreading, because the Earth is enlarging. Cosmic rays are causing the Earth to enlarge. Seas are going to fall into the fissures. Sea level fall is increased due to the Earth sucking up the water underneath the ocean. It's all about the motion, and we're going to get to it. And the facts. I know I'm blowing your mind. Worldwide volcano news update. Fuego, Sabancaya, Krakatoa, Reventador, Sangay, Sakurajima, Swanosima, all erupting in the last 36 hours. Here we're live. Volcano YT, Sakurajima is currently puffing. Stromboli, you can clearly see, huffing. Sinabung, creating its own weather. We're live. We're going to come over here and say, boom. You should do it too. If you're bored, give them a thumbs up. We're waiting for it, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Volcano YTS. Back up to the backup to the backup of the other backup of the channel. I remember when we were on Volcano YTS 4 at one point, because there was a volcano erupting they didn't want you to know about. Yep, folks, something big is happening, and here we are at Seismo Steve, Stephen Hicks, and there is confirmation that those beautiful low-frequency seismic rumblings that traveled all around the world November 12th, these S-waves originated close to the tiny island of Mayotte that we've been just talking about moments ago in the Indian Ocean. Now, Stephen Hicks is famous for magma dome collapse scenarios and his analysis of them. And the conclusion here that we get is that, in fact, this ancient volcano, which has an eruptive history very long ago, 2050 BC, 3550 BC, and 4050 BC, on a periodicity of 500 years, which you can clearly see, and a VEI of unknown amount. I'm going to go out and say it's VEI 7 or 8, and the reason is because of the scale of the caldera that sits off the coast of Mayotte. And we're going to look at it real quick here, so I'll bring you over there. Not to scare, but to prepare. So here's the island of Madagascar off the coast of Africa. And here we are in the East Rift Zone offshore. Clearly, this is a volcanic arc complex. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the curvature here could be a supervolcano. Because again, we see the same feature here. And now this would be a massive VEI 8 type eruption. But these caldera complexes are definitely probably what we're seeing here. These curvatures. And that these small volcanic island arcs are simply the central signature of volcanoes that have developed in the last 3,000 years. And in fact, the eruptions that occurred back then were much bigger in scale. And similar to Krakatoa, which looks like a tiny island poking out of the center of the giant caldera there, where Krakatoa once stood, this is the same thing we see over here in Mayotte. And this East Rift Zone, these rift lakes, this is all because of spreading as the earth grows, ripping open huge fissures that fill with huge amounts of rainwater. And these fissures and this fissure here are all been spreading, which lines up directly down here to Mayotte and Madagascar. So it's all in the same fracture zone. And as the earth spreads, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see it live in our lifetimes. So this is one of the most important geophysical times ever on Earth, because we're going to watch some of the most fantastic things happen live. He's clueless, and many others are. But it helps to smoke a bong now and again. Seismic study reveals huge amount of water has been dragged into the Earth's interior. Now, for years, I've been studying the precessional cycle, and I have found it in the entire rock record for the entire geologic history of planet Earth, going all the way back to the Silurian, 480 million years ago, and into the Cambrian, in the Devonian. Anywhere I looked, I saw it. A lot of these times, According to geologists, we believe that there was no ice on Earth, or Earth wasn't capable of having ice because the temperatures were too warm, based on proxy data. Well, I now have a mechanism, which you're staring at right now, for sea level change. And it's cosmic rays. As cosmic rays increase, the Earth swells. Fissures increase at mid-ocean ridges, and huge amounts of the ocean volume goes into the Earth, the inner Earth. Are you hearing me? Are you picking up inner Earth, what I'm putting down? I don't think there's huge cities and the sun under there, and everyone lives on the inside in the opposite direction. But there are major fissures in the Earth which can suck up huge portions of the ocean, dropping them hundreds of feet. Remember, oceans at the Marianas Trench are miles deep. 5, 6, 7 miles deep. So dropping the oceans a few hundred feet by sucking up huge amounts in voids as the Earth grows is completely reasonable. Check out this paper as we develop our hypothesis that is continuing to be proven correct. The mini ice age hoopla is a giant failure of the science communication. No, it isn't. You're a giant failure of a rag, IFL science. A lot of people sending me this article. There's a lot of hoopla about a mini ice age, but it's all made up. Zarkova's a fraud and none of it's true, according to them. It's a group I've never heard of until just minutes ago. Let's get on more insanity here. NASA now says that they see a cooling trend and not a warming trend. Of course they do. Following our coattails, let's look at the facts. As predicted, Arctic sea ice volume has now exceeded record levels and is now above every single line they have on their entire chart. So either they have to add more years now because they're wronger than ever and it's not fitting the narrative. But for a month back here, the 2018 data passed all data sets for the last 5 years. It's now headed into multi-decadal averages and is going to exceed all ice that has ever been seen for decades. The entire global warming scam. This winter, ice will be thicker than the beginning of the scare, and there's nowhere to hide. Paul Beckwith is finished. Probably not. He'll keep his same 20,000 idiots and they'll keep giving him money so that he can lie to them so that they feel better. I love feeling better. I hate the facts. Just lie to me. I don't want to know what's in my food. I love the crinkle of the Twinkie. I love it. It's delicious. Just let me hear the crinkle. I want to crinkle it. Where are we at here? Holy macaroni, stick with us. The secret history of plasma weapons has just been revealed, and we're going to reveal it to you in depth. We're going to give you papers. We're going to give you other shit that'll blow your mind. And it's totally amazing. Whew. Let's parse these babies. The secret history of plasma weapons. After decades of promise and failure, a new plasma weapon emerges. We're talking about the scalable, compact, ultra-short pulse laser system. SCUPLS. Yeah. Don't let the Native Americans scalp you. We've got SCUPLS. We're talking DOD, Navy. Here's the solicitation that I found. Release date August 24th, 2018. Open date 24th, 2018. Application October 24th. Closed 20 days ago. That means it's now in production. The technology is a weapon, and the weapon they're now producing is the scalable, compact, ultra-short pulsar laser system, which is the same as Star Trek's phaser. Yeah, because you can set it on stun and hurt and burn. The objective is to develop a lightweight, energy-efficient, next-gen, ultra-short pulse laser USPL, that can produce sustainable and controllable plasma at a range capable of inducing full spectrum of scalable non-lethal effects. The last time they tried this, it killed people. But now they got it all done. 25 years ago, inside classified facility in Los Alamos, just 50 miles south of here, researchers test-fired a new type of laser. The target, a piece of wet chamois leather meant to simulate human skin. The intense laser pulse lasted a few microseconds, but totally obliterated the chamois. Those early 1990s tests were part of the Pentagon's plan to develop a more effective non-lethal way to engage a target, an area where services have experienced chronic shortcomings. In 2008, for example, U.S. Army urgently acquired FN 303 paintball guns to help maintain order in detainee camps. Though such projectiles were too weak against enraged subjects, and tragically non-lethal weapons subsequently killed innocent people in Boston in 2004, now, after a quarter century of research and enough failed exotic stupidity to fill a museum, the Pentagon has built another weapon, which will probably be just as stupid. It's called SCUPLS. It's not supposed to hurt you. Yeah, it's a non-lethal weapon akin to Star Trek's fictional phaser with the ability to warn, dazzle, deafen, stun, or burn. But I believe that's all bullshit because it's a fucking laser beam. Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm just clueless. I'll leave you links to the scalable, compact, ultra-short pulse laser system bullshit that is about to fry your ass if you go and protest the government. It's non-lethal. You'll be fine. Pilots report seeing UFO moving so fast off the coast of Ireland. Hundreds of people saw this. Dozens of high-ranking officials confirmed. British Airways 747 approaches Heathrow over Richmond in 2015. Nothing to do with this article. But Irish aviation officials are investigating 2 airline pilots reporting seeing UFOs off the southwest coast of Ireland last week. And I listened. Go over check Rex Bear's channel, Leak Project. He's got the audio. It was moving so fast, the pilot said, according to the audio. It appeared on our left-hand side and rapidly veered to the north. We saw a bright light and then it disappeared at a very high speed. Just saying. Planetary K index. Let's update it. You're currently clairvoyant and slightly psychic. And if you die tonight, you're going to have a near-death experience, which is totally awesome. So if you want to die tonight. Now. Do it. Go. So we're showing Planetary K still at KP0. There is not another 3-hour update. That's good news. You're still psychic live. Maybe Neanderthals weren't quite so nasty and brutish. Maybe they weren't. Maybe these pictures are total bullshit. Yes. Not the fact that they stuck big sticks up rhinos' nostrils, but the fact they were just like you and I. Neanderthals might bring to mind images of cartoonish brutes whacking each other with clubs. But even though a number of Neanderthal skeletons have been unearthed showing grave head and neck injuries, new research suggests that the archaeologists reporting on it were full of shit. In fact, the levels of cranial injuries for Neanderthals are exactly the same of modern humans. No difference. There is no statistical difference between the two, which means that they cannot be differentiated. Meaning that Neanderthals and humans were the same hominids living together harmoniously at one time. In fact, Neanderthals wore jewelry and makeup before hominids, called Homo sapiens sapien. So in fact, Neanderthals were more trendy than you and I 50,000 years ago, studies say. Which means that most of mainstream science is a total fraud and everything you learned is total bullshit. Yeah, that's why we're here. For the facts, Jacks. And that's a boom. Hope you got something out of the video. Thank you for watching live. Thank you for participating in the live chat. Thank you for knowing what Fast Times at Ridgemount High and John Travolta are. That will allow you to go far. Stay out of the bar. It'll give you a liver scar. Boom! We love you. Even those that thumbs down this live chat. This is a podcast, and this will be rebroadcast immediately after I'm done speaking.